Welcome everyone to episode 73 of the Circle Back Podcast, the show where three great friends, sometimes two great friends, get together and just talk about video games. I'm Dan LaMarca. As always, I'm joined by Dan Dufresnoy.
Hey, how are you, Dan?
Dan, I'm doing okay. I miss Shelby.
Really?
Shelby's not here
He
this
was
week.
just here a second ago.
I know. He said he had to go, and he just left. Now, Shelby's fine, and he'll be here later to do some other recordings. But for now, it's just me and you, buddy. But that's okay because there's a lot of news. And actually, I played a lot of stuff leading up to our Game of the Year.
All right.
I wanted to touch a couple of things that I hadn't gotten around to.
Mm-hmm.
So I did a couple little things. I'll say right now, I finished Death Stranding since we recorded the last episode.
All right. How long did it take you to finally?
My final hour count was 41 hours.
Oh, okay.
Not that bad.
No.
41 hours. My final thoughts on it. I'm not going to go into detail. We'll talk a lot about it on our Game of the Year stuff.
Give me a taste, though.
Come around Christmas time, I'll give you a taste. On a Game of the Year, we're doing the 30th. Little taste. I really like that game a lot.
Okay.
That's it. That's all I'm going to say about that.
All right.
I also finished Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
Okay.
I think that's a really cool, fun Star Wars game.
Mm-hmm.
And it kind of would... Best comparison I can make to it, I think we talked about it before, me and you, Dan. It reminds me of Marvel Spider-Man.
Okay.
In that way of like, hey, this is a really good, really fun story. That's like a fun game, but it's not like something I think I'm going to be thinking about for years to come. You know?
Right, but it's just, hey.
But it's like, hey, this is a really good game.
You like Star Wars? It's fun.
So much fun. Great story.
And that's what I felt.
It.
And Spider-Man ended up being one of my top games last year just because of how it fell. But,
yep.
you know.
I think me and you are on the same page as far as that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I enjoyed the hell out of it. I'm really glad I got around to it.
Cool.
Got around to finishing it. Some stuff I touched. There's a game called Kind Words. It's called Kind Words, and then in parentheses it says lo-fi chill beats to write to.
Oh, I see. Kind words are my favorite kind of words.
I know. And Dan, you know what's funny? This is your kind of game, buddy.
Aw.
I'm gonna pitch it to you specifically because literally what this game is, it's like a small 3D space where you have this little guy at a desk, typing. This male deer. It's like a deer wearing mailman's gear. They basically introduce themselves and explain the game, and the game is you write or respond to letters that are like people's worries or people looking for advice, and it's real people online.
Whoa.
So you go on and you can, if you want to just be like a responder, you can click through and you'll see actual people's words that will say like, hey, I just went away to college and, I'm not really having a good time making any friends. Does anyone have any way to help? I'm feeling kind of down or whatever. And then you can write a response to that and send it back to them, and they get the response.
I love that
it's
so much.
It's such a cool, smart idea, and it's such like an interesting thing that I haven't really ever seen in games, where it's literally direct interaction with the people, but they're anonymous. It's just the first letter of their name.
I love that.
And it could be anything. Like I saw someone writing about like they're worried that they're going to be alone, they have problems, whatever, and you could just write like a little encouragement back, like whatever. Or you can be the one that writes those letters if you have worries that you want people to, and then you'll get the responses back. It's really, really cool.
I really like that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
The other thing is there are these little things that fly. It's like little paper airplanes that fly through. You can click on them and they will show you. It's basically like little quick encouragement lines. So it's not related to anything.
Mm-hmm.
It could be like a quote, or it could be like, hey, hang in there, bud, that kind of stuff. And you can just click on them anytime and it'll open up. And that's stuff that you can write also, or people already wrote to you. Or not to you specifically. Those are just in the ether, and then they get surfaced, pulled out. It's just really cool, and you know
that
chill lo-fi beats to write to. I mean, the music is great because it's just like a nice calm, you know, nice thing. The paper airplanes are flying. It's like this little workspace that you in your study typing. It's really a neat thing.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
oh,
and I've heard enough people talk about it where I was like, I want to check it out for myself before the year's over, and I'm glad I did because it's a nice, like, a little heartwarming experience.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I hope people are nice. I hope people like are nice. I hope there isn't any sort of like, you know, I'm sure there's some kind of crappy people that will go on there and say some nasty things.
It seems like it would be really hard to moderate, right? Like it would be hard to be like, hey, how are you making sure that nobody's like sending any hate speech or something? You know what I mean? But from what I saw, I mean, everything seemed pretty great.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah,
I like to hear that.
Yeah,
it's
really cool.
Good. That there's
yeah, I mean, I I don't have a lot of insight into how people are, but I mean, imagine wanting to download this nice little thing
that's huge. Yeah, just like interconnectedness.
It's
I'm
really
all about
cool.
that. That's beautiful.
I also, so I talked about After Party before. You know what After Party is?
Yeah, I wanted to play that.
Yeah. So
people of Oxenfree.
Yes, Oxenfree is a really cool game, like really interesting, dynamic. Like it's the thing about Oxenfree. So aside from the aesthetic and the really cool art and music and like all the cool sci-fi stuff that we like about Oxenfree, the thing about that game, like the crux of it, is the interactivity between characters. And like the way conversation just flows naturally, right?
It's dialogue.
Yeah.
Games.
So I was like, wow, this is really cool. I want to see what they do next. And so when they announced After Party, I was like, okay, that sounds interesting. I want to check it out. I finally checked it out. It's actually on Game Pass right now. If you have Game Pass,
cool.
I played about an hour. I find the writing is very off-putting to me. Like it's just not.
Oh, it sucks.
Yeah, it's just like all the characters are like very. Like shitty, cynical, like early college, like cynicism mixed with people like you're going. It starts out where you're like in a party, right?
Right.
Like a college party, like, oh, you know, it's time. You know, we're all leaving college, we're all graduating, and so the way people are talking to each other is like, I just didn't. It's very off-putting.
Aren't you like? Bars in hell or something like that.
And then when you get to that, it's just the style that they're going for is not for me. Like I don't like it. I don't think it's funny a lot of times. Yeah, I'm not a fan of it. About an hour in, and I was like, you know, I don't need to play any more of this now.
Oh wow, that's a shame to hear.
Yeah, so
that game was on my radar, and then just,
I know, me too.
This is a busy time of year, and I
value
your opinion.
Yeah, the thing that I'll say is. I only played an hour. It's very possible that it gets better. It's just kind of grating in a way that like, you know, like it's a mix between people being like, woo, yeah, party, like, you know, and talking about like whatever, and then also just actual, and then also just actual like kind of shitty like cynical writing. I didn't find it like interestingly biting or anything. I just found it kind of like on the nose about like what, you know, late teens, early 20s are like, you know, and I was like,
well, that sucks. Well,
yeah.
I'm in my 20s, so I already have those experiences.
Oh yeah, we're done with that. But yeah, it's just, you know, for me, I was not thrilled with it.
Okay.
Phoenix Point.
Oh, okay.
I've been talking about Phoenix Point for a long time.
Yeah, I know you were excited for it.
Yeah. Phoenix Point ended up being, so this is the one I was talking about. It's made by the person that made the original XCOM. I got to look up their name because it's going to drive me nuts.
The original XCOM, so any of like the
old 90s.
Okay, so the revamps, the XCOM different.
Right. It's the same style. Mm-hmm. That's why XCOM Enemy Unknown was so interesting, was it went for the same thing, but the old ones are much more like punishing, and you know, I think those old games are awesome, but the new ones kind of like modernize it in a way that makes sense for modern games.
Gotcha.
Kind of like Fallout, like the original Fallout is a little obtuse. Like, it's very good story,
right,
but it's
but then you play 3 and then it's just it bumps up the
right. Exactly. I think it's. I'm having a hard time here.
Phoenix Point. I'm sorry.
Phoenix Point.
Not Phoenix Wright. Phoenix Wright points a lot though.
Yeah, it is. Julian Gollop. Yeah, I thought so. Julian Gollop was the creator of the original, and he worked. This was like his love letter to the old XCOMs, right? So what I'll say, so Phoenix Point, I played maybe 3 to 4 hours. This game just recently came out. It is very much like XCOM, Enemy Unknown, Enemy Within, XCOM 2, whatever. Very much like that. Their main difference is that you can target specific limbs, kind of like VATS.
Okay.
But within that turn base, so you can be like, all right, I'm worried about this guy's gun, so I'm going to actually shoot the arm that's holding the gun, or I'm going to shoot the gun and try to break it, and, stuff like that.
Cool.
Guys put up, like, shields, so you want to shoot the leg. It's very interesting.
I like stuff like that.
It is XCOM. Like, it feels like XCOM. It looks like XCOM. And I don't want to... Again, I've only played about 3 to 4 hours. We'll see how wide open it gets. But it feels like, hey, what if an indie studio wanted to make XCOM? Like, it's a little lower budget. It's a little bare bones feeling. But it has that really good XCOM feel. The combat feels great. Like, I like everything about it. I'm just not blown away like there's anything new or particularly interesting so far. I have really enjoyed it. I'm going to keep playing it. I'm not saying anything bad about that game. I just think for me it's like, to be like, hey, I want to make my own XCOM.
Right.
Not the one that they're making, and then make it very similar to that. I'm just like, interesting.
Yeah.
What are you going for?
It's
here?
not adding anything to the genre.
Right. And then the last game that I played, last new game that I played is AI Dungeon 2. AI Dungeon 2 is one of the most interesting things I've ever seen. I kind of wish that it's gotten a lot more traction than the creators expected. So what this is it's literally, I think it's built in like a Google Doc kind of thing, but it's a AI run text-based RPG.
Okay.
Where you can literally type in anything that you want your character to do, and the AI will write a story around it.
That's awesome.
It's like a choose-your-own-adventure.
Yeah, that
can go infinite ways. Like, someone posted a thing that they wanted to be the Mandalorian in their game, and so they were doing everything. Like, they were check the what's the thing, the little hollow disc thing called? They were check that, and it
and it created it.
Yeah, because it's all AI written, so it pulls from all these different things and writes what it thinks is a good response. It's a very good AI system. It's very interesting.
Is it do you see characters on a screen, or is it all just text?
All text.
It's all text.
It's
gotcha.
Text.
Okay. Gotcha.
It's a completely text-based.
Because I was like, that's crazy.
Choose your own
if you
adventure.
Want to be the Mandalorian, and you get the armor or whatever. I'd be like, that's insane.
It's all text.
So much.
You're typing, and then it types a response, and it's there.
I got you now.
The problem that I'm having with it is I think there are too many people that are doing it for what it can handle, and it's very slow moving. To respond.
Oh, okay, I gotcha.
And then it'll just crash sometimes, and you lose your progress and stuff. It's not all there, but man, when it's working, it's super cool. Super cool. An example in my game was this wizard came up to me, and it was this man, in black robes and wearing 3 rings comes up to you and is saying this. Here's his name, whatever. And I was like, steal his ring. And it was you take a ring, you right off his finger, he looks at you, you look back. What do you do? It's just so funny to be I can do whatever I want.
And now I got to deal with the permutations.
Someone wrote that they found a group of goblins or orcs or something, and they made a rock band with them instead of fighting them, and so he became like the drummer in like a very popular goblin rock band, and that was and his whole story, like pages and pages about them like doing rock shows.
That's really cool though.
It's so weird and so interesting.
But it's more than cool. That's like,
it's amazing.
That's genius.
You gotta see it in you gotta see it in action. It's a very ambitious thing, so I'm not saying like, oh, I wish it was better optimized, but I can't wholly recommend it because it really hasn't run well for me. Mm-hmm. But it's just such a cool thing. I had to bring it up. Dan, is there anything you've been? I know we're closing in on Game of the Year. Anything you've been touching?
Yeah, nothing new. I've been playing more Death Stranding, more Star Wars. But I gotta say, nothing new. I haven't touched any new games.
Since Fire Emblem advances.
A little bit more Fire Emblem, but nothing concrete. But I am prepared to talk about them for Game of the Year. So
yes,
don't you worry.
I know we're excited for that. I teased it before, but our Game of the Year stuff is going to start rolling out Christmas week. We're going to do a couple superlative episodes, and then our Game of the Year will be dropping December 30th.
Can't wait.
So be excited for that.
The best game of all time might drop December 31st.
You
never know.
Whoa. That would be really upsetting.
Imagine.
All right. The other stuff that I played that I want to talk about is from this thing that Jeff Keighley did for the Game Awards. They made this thing. They made a partnership with Steam. That's where they designed something called the Game Awards Festival Showcase. And what this is 14 indie developers put a demo of their unreleased game out on Steam for a limited time. So for, I think it was 48 hours starting with, or 48 or 72 hours, starting with the Game Awards on Thursday night until like Saturday or Sunday or whatever it was. This was the pitch of this thing is, hey, you don't go to like gaming convention shows like PAX or E3 or whatever. We want you to be able to play the demos that would be there.
Cool.
So I got to play like 12 demos of really cool unreleased games.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah, I'm going to kind of rapid fire through them. I'm not going to take super long, maybe a couple minutes on each.
That's rad though, man.
But some of them, like one of them is Chicory, The Colorful Tale, which is by the guys that did Wandersong. Their next game.
Oh, cool.
And it's amazing.
Oh, man.
System
awesome.
Shock was one of them.
Okay.
I played it. Like, it's really, this is a pretty cool thing. So I'll go through. The first, I just have them in alphabetical order. Acid Knife. Acid Knife is a 2D side-scrolling platformer. Very stylish. It's got like a lot of so Acid Knife is a perfect description for what this game is, because it's like kind of when you move, you have like an aura around you, like swimming, kind of like there's a smoke in the air that you are like moving through. It's like kind of, I think it's like trippy, like an acid trip kind of thing. That's what they're going for. But it's like a 2D side-scrolling roguelike kind of gameplay where you're picking up items and fighting enemies and getting from one end of the screen to the next and then getting to the next room. Really, really great look, awesome music, really interesting game. I think Acid Knife is really cool. Carrion. I don't know if you've heard of Carrion, but it's their whole pitch was like, it's a monster movie, but you're the monster. So it's a single player, kind of a side-scrolly look, but you're playing this big glob monster, and you roll through and like grab people and eat them, and you have all these crazy powers, and like it's just like awesome to play as this giant crazy thing. Like all these humans are like just shooting bullets at you that are barely hurting you, and you're just taking them and eating them, and it's like really, really neat game. I mentioned before Chicory, A Colorful Tale.
Yeah, so when does that get released?
I think they plan next year, but we'll see. This is by the same team that did Wandersong, Greg Lobanov, and it has music by Lena Raine, who did Celeste.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So like this game is looking really good. So I'd been following it, kind of like following him on Twitter, seeing like different things. The premise of the game is, and this is the beginning of the demo too, you are this little dog that works in this big house that it's basically a manor for this one character that is named Chicory.
Okay.
And Chicory is the wielder of the magic paintbrush. So Chicory is literally responsible for all the color in the world, right? So all of a sudden you're in the room like sweeping up, like you're a worker or whatever, and then all the color's gone. And you're like, whoa, what's going on? And then you walk over and you find the paintbrush just lying there. And you're like, Chicory, where are you? Like, you can't find them. So you pick up the paintbrush, and the gameplay is you are moving the right stick to aim and then holding the right trigger. You're coloring in like different things to solve puzzles, to help people. Like, you go to someone's house and they're like crying and they're like, my house is no color, please color it, like that kind of stuff. Very charming writing.
That's exciting because Wandersong
so I mean, beautiful. It's an amazing game, and they really are sticking with what they know. It seems like they really good, charming writing with some interest. You could tell they're going for a little bit of serious stuff.
That's awesome.
And it's just delightful.
That really makes me happy.
It's great.
That's
the
really
music
exciting.
is great.
Yeah.
The art is amazing. I think
is it the same like cardboard?
No, it's different.
Okay.
It's just beautiful. Yeah, I really like it a lot.
Man, I'm excited. That's really cool.
So that was definitely a standout for me out of this. I mean, honestly, I'm being honest with you. Like, most of these demos are awesome. Really, really good. Yeah. The next one is called The Drifter. This is an interesting game. One of the most, I think probably my favorite look out of all of these games. Very beautiful pixel art. It reminds me of like the old LucasArts games that like Tim Schafer made. Like,
Grim Fandango and
older than that as far as the
like,
look, like Day of the Tentacle and Full Throttle.
Full Throttle, okay.
Mostly this looks a lot like Full Throttle, which is like one of the most beautiful pixel art games ever. But this game it's an adventure game. And the thing that I'll say is I don't know, like the writing was a little weird to me. You have an inner monologue that's like it's Australian or New Zealand, the main character. The music is great, the look is great, but I don't know if the writing is that good because your inner monologue is constantly talking. And it's kind of over the top a lot. Like it doesn't really fit like the mood and atmosphere that they're going for. But it's definitely something I want to keep my eye on. It's like you're traveling in this train car, and then like something happens, and you have to jump out, and it's not like action. Like you're clicking on something and look at or touch or whatever. Like it's a true adventure game. You know what I mean? Like
is it like a point and click?
Yeah.
Okay.
They optimize it for a controller. I actually tried it with the controller, and it's like look at it, right trigger, touch, look at whatever.
So that's like it is a hark back to the old.
It is. It totally is. And it seems like it's doing a good job. Those things, those type of games are, if the writing is great, it'll be great. If the writing is not good, it's not good.
Yeah,
so
very true.
I cannot tell you that for sure. I will say from what I played, I literally I made it a point where I was like, I want to get through every one of these, and I'm just going to play them for 10 minutes. I'm not going to play like, the entire demo, even System Shock, which I did not want to put down after 10 minutes because I think it's about 40 minutes or something. Okay. I put down after 10 minutes because I just want to get through them all, experience them all, and then see what they're about. So The Drifter for me is a little bit on the like, I'll wait and see what people say because I don't know about that writing, but it looks beautiful, sounds great.
Cool.
What's next? Eastward. This one too, I would say, as far as the look, like really great, like beautiful, beautiful art style. This is by Chucklefish. They made Stardew Valley.
Oh, okay.
And it's interesting because I know that they publish games as well, so I don't know which games they publish and which ones they developed. So you know what? I'm going to actually take a peek and look it up quick. because I don't want to get this wrong. But what was the other one? Starbound? I think Starbound is the one they actually developed.
What's the name of the game what's this game called? The one they're just releasing?
Eastward. Yeah. Let me see. Yeah, they published Stardew Valley, I believe. Yeah, I know that Terraria, Starbound.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know if
they published it.
I'm sorry if I'm butchering that, but
they had a hand in those games.
Right, and same with this. I believe they are developing this game. It starts you off in a town, really reminiscent of like an Earthbound type of place, where like you're walking up to the characters and they're talking to you back and forth, and then so you're walking. Beautiful, like absolutely beautiful. This town. There's like a Dalsim looking guy like meditating on the roof that you can talk to. There's like a couple secrets to be found.
Cool.
You go over to the garbage can and touch it, and a kid pops out. He's like, "Hey guys," like like awesome style. You go out, and the fighting and the gameplay, I'm not thrilled with.
Okay. Is it RPG style? Is it?
It's real time. It's not turn-based RPG. It's like Don't Starve. Is how I would describe it, where it's like you're moving around and like kind of just like whacking, and you have like a gun, you're shooting, where nothing feels very like deliberate. It's more just like you're just mashing, trying to not get hit, whatever. So another one where I'm like, man, I want this to be good because I like the writing so far. I like, this is almost the inverse. I like the writing. I love the look of it.
Just hoping the game
music, holy shit, the music really good. I'm just hoping that the gameplay isn't like a little annoying. But again, I mean, all these games they're completely unreleased. A lot of this stuff can change. Some of these games are a ways out.
It might be Western by the time it comes out.
Yes, it very well could be. Next one on the list, Haven. So Haven is a really weird game. It's like partly looking like a visual novel type of thing, where like you'll see the character portraits pop up on the side, where it's just you. So you play as both characters, as a male character and a female character. They're in a relationship. It's almost like they're like Adam and Eve kind of things, because they're space travelers. And it's almost like I'm getting this gist based on what I played that they belong to or are hired by a corporation that sends two people to an unexplored planet to like inhabit it.
Gotcha.
That's kind of like I'm really guessing here, but like based on the little bit, it's something like that. So it's like you're interacting and making dialogue choices between each other, and the writing is pretty good. Like I like what they're going for with that. And then you go outside, and it's like this journey kind of movement where you're like kind of like sliding around, except for you're like floating the whole time. So you're like floating through, you're like to get power to power your ship, you're like hitting these different nodes. It's a third person, like similar. I compared it to Journey because it's that same sort of angle for the camera, and you're also very fluidly moving through the world. You're collecting food that you can bring back to the ship and cook. And it's just fucking weird, man. Like it's so weird. Like you go back to your ship and it becomes like a first-person camera, almost like you're a drone, like moving through the ship, and you can like go over to the kitchen table and hit cook, and then your characters come in and you're like chopping and they're talking and stuff. It's a very unique, very strange style where they're going for like a bunch of different stuff. The art style, the character portraits are like hand-drawn, beautiful. The 3D models aren't really that impressive, but again, this is a demo. It's just an interesting game. I don't know if it's for me or not, but it's just a strange little thing. The next one is Roki, Roki. Roki is one of my favorites of the group.
Okay.
You are... It what actually it reminds me of is like Mutazione.
Okay.
Where you're like moving through the world, but you're kind of like looking at things, and the camera perspective will change when you look at something. And it's an adventure game kind of like that. But this is all like Nordic. I think it's like Sweden or somewhere like that, but it's all snowy. And I don't know what like time it's in, but like you come across a troll that like you can talk to, and she has like a sword stuck in her arm that someone stabbed her with, and she's like, this hurts, like help, whatever. So like one of your goals is to like, all right, get that sword out of the troll so she'll move out of the way, and then you can pass by, whatever. And it's really cool. Like, I really like what they're going for. I like the look of it. I like the style. I'm just very intrigued by it.
Cool. That's awesome.
That's Roki. Next one is Skatebird. Have you heard of Skatebird?
I've not heard of Skatebird.
It's what if you were a tiny baby bird on a mini tech deck that's playing Tony Hawk.
Wait, that's actually pretty awesome.
It's a really cool idea.
Is it a skater game? Is it like
it's
Tony
a skateboarding
Hawk's Skater? Okay.
Yeah, there's different moves and stuff. I don't like the way it feels at all.
Oh, okay.
Maybe that's just me. It's very like floaty. It doesn't feel like a Tony Hawk type of thing. I love the style. I love the way it looks. Your little like in the loading screens are showing like different birds and stuff, and like you can have like a backwards hat on the bird. You can have like little headphones and stuff. Like it's just awesome. Like it's really really cool. I don't know if the gameplay is very good right now.
Okay.
We'll see how it comes up. Next is Spiritfarer. So Spiritfarer was a game that we saw, I think, at E3 as part of the Microsoft showcase, I believe. And I'm glad I got to get my hands on it. This game, man, holy shit, it's beautiful. This is the one where it looks like you're ferrying like animals' souls to the afterlife. So you like run this ship that like when the animals are at the end of their life, they come to you and they get like their spirits, sent out and taken away or whatever. You're like the ferryman, right? But it's all like happy, willingly, like, but you could tell there's like some darker stuff going on.
Mm-hmm.
It's just so. I guess it's a running theme with these kind of games that I'm talking about here, where it's like, I love the way it looks. I like the style they're going for. I like the writing. The characters that you meet are like amazing. I don't know how much gameplay there is or what it really is, because it's kind of like one of the animals. It's the design of this character is amazing, where it's literally a snake in like a big robe, but her like she's coiled up in a way that like her arm sticking out is like a bend of a snake, because the rest of it goes somewhere else to the body. Gotcha. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
so it's like she has arms and legs, but it's all like part of one snake.
Right.
It's such a great design. And she basically was like, oh, before we go, can you I have this idea for this room that I can meditate in and really get some relaxation. So you like go to like a build screen and like place the house where you want on the ship. And then she's like, oh, thanks so much, whatever. So you're doing little tasks. You're fishing off the end of the boat, kind of like an Animal Crossing type fishing thing. And it's interesting, but I don't know what really you're doing moment to moment. Like if that's what it is, I don't know if it's going to be compelling to play. But man, the look and style of that game is amazing. Yeah. Next is System Shock.
All right, man. Blow by blow.
System Shock. It feels great. Yeah. Like it looks amazing. The detail they're putting into the way this ship is. First time you hear Shodan, like it blew me away. This demo, I'm telling you, like I'm so in on this game. Like it feels like those games, but it's just so beautiful. Like it's like Alien Isolation all around you, where like the ship really feels real and tactile, and it's just awesome.
That's really cool.
Like I really like it. I'm really excited to play more. And then the last one I played is Wooden Nickel. It's called. This one's really interesting. It's like it's kind of a unique thing. So like you're choosing, it's almost like a Twine game where like you're choosing which way you want to go. So it'll be like, all right, do you want to stay in this hotel or do you want to stay in this little bed and breakfast in this town or whatever? So you go there, and then someone slips the newspaper under the door, and then the newspaper pops up, and you can choose. There's like a bunch of stories on the newspaper, and you're basically going to different places based on what the news items are. Okay. So one of them's like, oh, a man says he found this giant bird, whatever, blah, blah, blah. You can go there and like experience that with him or whatever. And it's a really weird, interesting thing that I haven't really seen before. But I think for the most part, the writing has been really good. So I'm excited to see more about that game as well.
Looks like we have a lot of cool new indie games coming out next year.
You know what, Dan? It does look that way.
That's pretty exciting.
So yeah, that was the last one I played. There were 2 others that I didn't play because they were couch co-op only, and I didn't have Dan over to.
I'm so sorry.
To play them.
I'm letting you down.
I'll repeat the names of those games. So again, this was the Game Awards Festival Showcase. It's over by the time you hear this, but just games to look out for if any of those sounded interesting to you. Acid Knife, Carrion, Chicory: A Colorful Tale, The Drifter, Eastward, Haven, Roki, Skatebird, Spiritfarer, System Shock, and Wooden Nickel. So really awesome.
Yeah.
What a smart idea.
That's a great idea.
Jeff Keighley said it on the Game Awards where he's like, I think this is the future of these sort of things. Like we should be doing this instead of having people go to a location because a lot of people can't go there.
Yeah, you're expanding, your market really when you think about it.
I just think it's a really smart idea to get your game in front of people.
Definitely.
So I was happy to be able to experience it.
Awesome.
All right, so we have quite a few bits of news. That's really all we've been playing. Let's start with the Game Awards, Dan.
Oh, man, what a year for Game Awards.
The Game Awards is something that I'm always conflicted on as a concept because I understand the financial realities that Jeff Keighley faces, and he runs a great show for what it is. I hate how it's so overtly capitalistic.
Oh well, yeah,
it's one big commercial.
Yeah, exactly.
And it frustrates me because you have things like best music being done in the pre-show, and you know what I mean. Like it's not really about the winners. It's more about
product placement,
and who do we have to talk about their game and what game are they showing and whatever. Sure. And
the bigger companies get the bigger, time and the spotlight.
And I get why Keighley does it. He has a big show to run. He had Green Day and Churches and Grimes perform, and it's like, I get it. I really do. And I think for what it is, he does a very good job. I am very frustrated at times by that show. But, I just wanted to mention that in the beginning. But I have a list here. I wrote down some points as I was watching. I will say this is not everything that happened or was announced. This is things that I, in particular, was excited by or wanted or felt was important. So the first thing, there was a Final Fantasy VII trailer. And they love to show Midgar because that's all that's going to be in that
that's
game.
All that it is.
I promise you that. But yeah, I mean, a nice looking trailer. I still think that game is going to be pretty cool.
The game looks beautiful, and
I think it's going to be a pretty good game. I do. For the people that really love that game, I think they're going to be totally happy.
Oh yeah. Also, the first 10 hours of Final Fantasy VII was the best part of the game anyway. So
this is true.
To have a full game of the best part of Final Fantasy VII, in my honest, humble opinion, that it might be,
could be cool.
That would be pretty cool.
Yeah. Big one to start off the award that was in the pre-show, the Final Fantasy VII thing. But to start off the show, the Xbox Series X.
Yes, the new
announced, showed, big black tower. Out holiday 2020. Phil Spencer came out, talked about it a little bit, just, got the crowd hyped up for Xbox Series X, which I kind of like the name, honestly. I think they were a little gimmicky in the past with the 360 and the One and whatever. I think this makes more sense, with the way technology's been going, where it's like, call it the Series X.
Sounds good.
That's great. Yeah. I have no problem with it. Some people think it's really weird. I kind of like it. They showed Hellblade 2 Senua's Saga.
Mm-hmm.
They did a teaser trailer, a very angry-looking Senua. So that was teased, announced.
Yeah, we'll have to see. I really like the first game.
Yeah, I know.
But, I'm wary of, like, especially things like that, like sequels. Yeah,
I know. A lot of people were saying, "Did we really need a sequel to Hellblade?" Like that was an interesting,
I don't
experience. I am excited for it because I wasn't blown away by the first game the way a lot of people were. I think it's a good game, but I think them expanding on it and kind of changing it a little bit might be good for that game. Personally, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
I know for the most part people were in it for the story of Senua.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why people are saying, well, why do we need another one?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Like, they told a good story already.
The first game kind of showed her growth and her, overcoming adversity.
And now it seems like she's like
right back at it.
But she's like leading the group of people, and it's very weird.
I don't know.
I mean, beautiful looking trailer.
Oh, for sure.
Like it looks interesting.
Yeah, but I guess just like in a day and age where we live in just like very oversaturated sequels and remakes and stuff like that. Like for me personally, I'm just very wary of it all the time. Where I'm just like, okay.
That's totally understandable. Next I have on the list Godfall. They showed the trailer for a new IP, Godfall. They said it's out holiday 2020 on PS5.
PS5.
Exclusive on PS5. It was a weird-looking, Destiny-looking new IP. They called it a looter slasher. So it's like a melee-focused combat, Destiny, Borderlands, whatever. It is being published by Gearbox. It's weird. It looked very unpolished, in my opinion, for a reveal trailer. Usually these things are very tight, nice looking packages. I didn't think this looked great. A lot of like medieval looking armor with sci-fi stuff. That's the kind of the Destiny aesthetic. But yeah, Godfall out holiday 2020 on PS5. So that's like a pseudo announcement that the PS5 is out holiday. Yeah. But we all knew that already, so it doesn't matter. Bravely Default 2 announced for 2020.
Into those Bravely Default games?
Well, here's the weird thing. There was a game that came out called Bravely Default. Then there was a game that came out called Bravely Second. Now there's a game coming out called Bravely Default 2. And I don't understand what is going on.
And it's the same
yes,
right?
Same people made Octopath, made Bravely Default,
right.
Bravely Second. It's going to be a turn-based RPG, just like those games. Man, beautiful art. But that's the story of those games. Octopath is gorgeous.
Octopath is gorgeous.
So are those games. Yeah. Bravely Default is a beautiful game. So yeah, it looks like they're sticking with what they know, and they're making another one of those. So for the people that are really excited for those, I'm very happy for you. A game. So this was interesting. There was just a still. It wasn't a still image. It was like a singular camera shot with it just rolling of like this woods area with like rain, and it was just like a hyper realistic look at like this one spot in the woods with like rocks, some trees. It was raining, and then it popped up and said "Prologue" by Player Unknown.
Oh yeah.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Prologue by Player Unknown, and then it said playprologue.com. I went to it, and it was like, hey, here, Prologue. Like you couldn't do anything.
Right.
So I'm like, what is this? Is this a game?
Isn't it the new game from the people that did PUBG?
I guess, but there's no details about it. So I'm very curious. Like I thought if you went to playprologue.com, you could try play it, or at least see a video or something, and there was nothing. It was the same image that was on the screen. I have no idea what that is. It's a very beautiful looking piece of woods. I don't know what to say other than that. Very strange thing. Weird West announced with trailer. It's an isometric RPG by ex-Arcane members. So the guys that co-created Dishonored and Prey and Prey.
That's exciting. Especially for Dan.
And they're making an isometric RPG, like a Disco Elysium.
Right, it's completely different. That's not like the first person.
This is awesome.
Yeah.
Like I can't believe this. This is such a cool, interesting idea for those guys that make immersive sims to come and say we're making a new isometric RPG. I think that's really cool.
Talk about pushing your being.
Yeah, I know
a chameleon and pushing your craft a little bit.
Pretty interesting stuff. It looked cool. It was a very stylish trailer. It looked very like Wasteland 2-esque, where it was like a lot of desert stuff going on. It looks cool. Weird West. Ori and the Will of the Wisps trailer showed unbelievably beautiful. Absolutely super excited for that game. They delayed it a little less than a month. It's going to be out March 11th, 2020 instead of February. So yeah, I mean,
I still got to play the first one.
I know it's on Switch now.
I know, I got to get it.
As if you don't have enough to play.
It's the worst time of year. I swear to God.
Damn, you're almost on break. Then you can play everything.
Almost.
Magic Legends announced. What a terrible name. I know it's Magic the Gathering, but like they literally call it Magic Legends. Can you think of a more generic thing than Magic Legends?
No.
It's pretty bad. It's an MMO in the Magic the Gathering universe. Just thought it would,
Actually, Destiny might be worse. If it was Magic Destiny, that might be a little bit worse.
Yeah, I guess you're right. But Magic Legends pretty
That's
bad.
Pretty bad too, though.
Ghost of Tsushima extended cinematic shown out summer 2020. Pretty cool.
Probably right at the tail end of PS4.
Yeah, I mean that and Last of Us Part 2 are going to be the nice send off.
The last games for the PS4.
The last games.
The Last of Us.
Yeah, I mean, beautiful.
I can't wait for that.
I'm excited for that game. I am so curious how it plays because
it's so cinematic.
But it's Sekiro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, this game better be really good because, like, man, it looks and seems like Sekiro.
Yeah.
And you got a lot to live up to if you're going to be pulling that. So, I'm excited to see real gameplay probably at an event next year. But yeah, I mean, I'm very excited for the game. I'm not trying to shoot them down at all. Gears Tactics trailer shown. Very XCOM-y. This literally, which I'm being honest with you, Gears of War XCOM is a fucking awesome pitch. They have so many great enemies and different units and stuff. Like, I think that's such a smart idea.
That's the way to go.
I think it's way better than the regular games. That's going to come out April 28th, 2020. I'm actually really excited to play it because when I say it looked XCOM-y, it's XCOM. You know what I mean? Like, it really looks like it. Biggest surprise of the night for me, The Wolf Among Us 2.
Yeah, so I thought Telltale was no longer.
Yeah, here's the weird part. Telltale is no longer. They totally disbanded, whatever. They announced that they were coming back. Telltale's coming back to, I think it was to put out The Walking Dead, the final episode or something. Like, it was right before the end of it. Or there was some announced game that was like most way through the season. And then they said, okay, we have a couple people. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to put this back out. So I think slowly they're just like reviving Telltale and now putting out Wolf Among Us 2. So I'm very conflicted on this because Wolf Among Us is like my favorite Telltale thing.
Oh, it was amazing. But
what the hell's going
people.
on? Yeah, what's going on? I know. I'm just very curious of the behind the scenes. I want somebody like Jason Schreier or Patrick Klepek or somebody to really dive in and like tell me what's going on with Telltale.
I assumed that it was like, when the Beatles released Let It Be sort of thing. Like they were already broken up and they were like, oh, well, we already had this in the works. We're just going to polish it and then release it. So I'm curious if maybe that was...
Here's what I'll say about that. Telltale never has anything in the past.
Yeah.
Never has anything pre-made.
Gotcha.
Ever.
So that means they're getting together. Yeah.
When episode 1 comes out, they don't have episode
2. Okay.
They don't. They make it as it goes.
Gotcha.
That's why the release schedule is so weird. So who knows what's going on with that? I'm very excited to get more Wolf Among Us. I need to know what's going on behind the scenes.
Yeah, Wolf Among Us is great, but Telltale not so great.
Not so great. I'll also just say
actually pretty terrible.
Pretty bad, yeah. Outer Wilds got shafted at the Game Awards, but Disco Elysium took Disco Elysium took 4 awards: Best RPG, Best Narrative. They took a bunch of awards.
They won Best Indie.
Best Indie.
Man, Outer Wilds was only up for Best Indie. That was
they got shafted in general.
So sad.
It's all right.
Outer Wilds is the best game of all time. So.
Sekiro won Game of the Year, which I think is pretty cool.
That was one Best Action Game, was it?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't really look too much at that. I just was like, I picked the games that I care about.
I think Sekiro was. I mean, I'm glad Sekiro won. Obviously,
Sekiro is an amazing game.
I think of the games that were up for nomination, Sekiro
is an amazing game.
Ahead of the curve.
I love that the Disco Elysium people called out Marx and Engels as their inspiration to make the game on stage at this like super capitalist like place.
That's
I
awesome.
love it. It's so good. Also, I absolutely love seeing Miyazaki up there accepting the award for Sekiro because like I just love him because he's like a regular dude that's just like has really dark thoughts. So he's just like hanging out up there. He's like, wow, this is so great. Like I just love him. He's amazing. So it was really cool to see because you don't see that kind of game winning in big things. Like this. You know what I mean? Like you could see a Souls game or a Bloodborne or whatever winning on a site like IGN or GameSpot or something. But this big is award show,
like, this is like the Grammys for video games, and it's
exactly. So like it's not that it means more because it doesn't, but to be recognized on a stage like that, I think is really neat.
And that's
for
like
them.
and that's like a push, maybe the in the consciousnesses of the community, just like, oh wow, okay, people are willing to look at a game like this. Or
I think it's awesome, and I'm super happy for them. So I mean, for the most part, I think it was a really good Game Awards. I'm not, I have gripes about the show in general, but we got some great announcements. We got some good winners. So that's it for the Game Awards. I also have some information. The last Sony State of Play a few days ago. I'm just gonna run through some of the big things. Resident Evil 3 remake.
Yeah, Nemesis.
Shown. Coming out April 3rd, 2020.
Oh, my God.
So we talked about it recently, and I said, I had read, like, hey, this game is, like, almost done. Like, it's going to come early 2020. So it actually is, which is really, really cool. We got some gameplay footage of Babylon's Fall, that Platinum game that looks kind of Soulsy, but it's Platinum. It still looks really, really cool. Predator Hunting Grounds, the guys that made Friday the 13th, they're doing the Predator game, coming out April 24th.
You played Friday the 13th, right? You said it was just fun. It was just
the thing about Friday the 13th is it's a genius game design that does not have enough money. That's literally what that is. Like they know what they're doing. They made an amazing, like such a smart multiplayer experience. You playing as Jason is like so cool. It is super janky and weird and looks bad and like buggy. It's just such a fucking smart idea. Like I love it. Dreams, full release date February 14th, 2020. We also found out some details. The full release will be $40.
Gotcha.
The pre-release was $30.
Okay.
So I'm assuming they'll have an upgrade to that. They haven't. If they had said it, I hadn't seen it, but I know that they said it's going to be $40. So I assume if you have the beta, you pay an extra $10 and you'll get the full game. So yeah,
cool.
Excited for that full release. See what they're doing. Untitled Goose Game coming to PS4 and Xbox on December 17th. That's actually going to be on Game Pass as well. So if you didn't play it, pretty good way to get it. I know this is a PlayStation State of Play announcement that I'm telling you about, but I cannot stop talking about Game Pass. And that's about it for the State of Play. I just wanted to mention some of the bigger items. We also had a Nintendo Switch Indie World Showcase on the 10th. Just showing off. They like to do streams that are like, hey, here are cool indie games coming to Switch, which I think is fucking amazing that they do this. The big one for me was a game called Super Mash. Did you see this at all?
No, I didn't.
It's called Super Mash, and there are all these different game styles of game. So it could be like fighting game, RPG, platformer, blah, blah, whatever. The whole point of the game is you take one style and another style and go and mash them together, and it creates a game.
That's awesome.
And then you play the game.
Whoa.
And it's really fucking cool. You got to watch the trailer for it.
It's like multiple games right there.
So
That's
like
awesome.
They showed like a turn-based RPG that looked like Mario, that like you're running around jumping on someone's head, and then it goes into a turn-based battle.
Awesome.
It's so cool. Man. It's so cool. The other, for me, big one was what's it called? Axiom Verge 2.
Oh, okay.
Announced, out next year, out 2020. Tom Happ made another one of them, and it looks really, really good.
I really liked Axiom Verge.
Axiom Verge is a really, really good game that for some reason I ran out of steam on.
Gotcha. I really enjoyed that game.
It's a very well-made game.
Yeah.
Like, it's great. So I think him doing a sequel, I think, is very promising.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So that's really, I mean, there's a ton of stuff on this indie list. Those were the two for me that jumped out when I watched the whole thing. Mm-hmm. So we'll leave it at that for now. Other bits of news, they announced that they're releasing a Vanquish and Bayonetta single game disc remastered coming out February 18th, 2020. So they're Vanquish and Bayonetta, one game, 4K, 60 FPS. They're revamping it, redoing it. And I think that's just fucking awesome because those are, in my opinion, Bayonetta and Bayonetta 2 and Vanquish are the platinum games for me. Like, they are so good.
That's awesome.
So I'm just, thrilled because they really picked the right games there to remaster. New BioShock announced by 2K. It's a quote-unquote new studio. Jason Schreier wrote a piece for Kotaku. Everyone should read. This studio has been running for 2 years making this game, and this was their unveiling kind of to say, hey, we're making a new BioShock. They didn't give any details, and they said it's not anytime soon. But there are some interesting people that are working on it. Sean Elliott's working on it, who made some really great levels in Dishonored and stuff like that. I could totally go for a new BioShock game if they're going to iterate on it. If they want to put out something just like BioShock, but another one, I think it's going to feel really stale in
if it's the same exactly.
Kind of. And I don't think it's going to feel like tired because it's the same. I think that game does not fit in anymore. Like, you need to do something different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Do you think this is a game that just only fit in its time?
I truly do. I whenever we talk about,
best games ever.
Yeah, look at the end of the month for our games of the decade list. Because I talked about a couple of games on there that, for me, were of a time and place.
Right.
And if they came out now, we would be like, yeah, they did some interesting things, but really they missed the mark on this and that and whatever. I truly think that BioShock fits into that.
2007 was when it needed to be made.
Correct. and there weren't games like it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
I think, I don't know.
Well, yeah, and it's interesting too.
This is exciting. I'm not trying to say like this is not exciting. And like I said, there are some interesting people that are doing work on this. It's not, there's no Ken Levine on this.
Yeah. Well, so did they talk? Is it going to be nothing?
Nothing.
It's Rapture. It's Infinite, whatever that city was.
Yeah, whatever. I forget the name of it.
Or a completely new. I don't know.
Yeah,
We'll find out. I guess
we'll find out. And they cannot go back and do one of the old ones. It has to be a new one.
Yeah,
has to be. I just don't know what it would be. Like I'm very curious.
Even if they did like a prequel to like BioShock, like you play as one of the.
I just can't
splicers or whatever.
I can't imagine them relying on that world. I can't imagine that.
Yeah,
they have to do something new. And Infinite intentionally set up the whole lighthouse thing that you can do anything in this universe. Yeah. So they should do something weird and just make it good. And yeah, you know what's funny is like the fact that Ken Levine's not on this kind of makes me more excited. Not that he made those games and they were special games, mm-hmm. but the idea of a Ken Levine BioShock coming out. It would be so eye-rolly at this point where we're like, okay,
because we've done it.
Shit,
yeah.
We're gonna do it again. The whole like, but that's why I'm telling you. I think it's gonna be interesting to see where they take it. So,
yeah,
I'm definitely excited for it. I'm not. I sound negative on it, but I am excited.
Let's keep our eyes and ears and noses peeled for it.
Exactly. Sad news. Do you remember the game In the Valley of the Gods?
Yeah.
So you haven't heard about it?
I haven't heard about it.
So people noticed that...
I was really excited for that.
Yes. This is the game, the next game by Campo Santo, the guys that made Firewatch. Mm-hmm. It was this like awesome...
Looked like Indiana Jones.
Egypt.
Like, yeah.
So it didn't look like it was going to be like exploring like Indiana Jones. It looked like it was more like archiving. Mm-hmm. Like there were old cameras and stuff. But yeah, it was Egypt. Looked awesome. About 2 weeks before Half-Life Alyx was announced. So, all right, let me take you back. In 2018, Valve bought Campo Santo. Okay? We all knew, they bought Campo Santo. Everyone, Jake Rodkin, Chris Remo, the guys from Campo Santo were like, hey, we're bought by Valve. We're still making In the Valley of the Gods. We just have more help. We have more money now. It's all good. Those of us that understand how Valve works were a little skeptical because they have a completely open office environment where anyone can work on anything. Mm-hmm. So whatever you're interested in, you go work on that thing, right? So these are basically what happened was Half-Life Alyx started spinning up, and a lot of the guys that were working on In the Valley of the Gods went to work on Half-Life Alyx. Some of the other ones went to work on Dota Underlords, so they kind of started doing other things, and In the Valley of the Gods got shelved. The thing that we noticed was about 2 weeks before or a week before Half-Life Alyx came out, all of a sudden the Twitter bios for the Campo Santo people deleted currently working on In the Valley of the Gods from their bio. So everyone was like, what's going on? Is this game canceled? Whatever. So Jake Rodkin from Campo Santo put out a statement. I'd rather just read it directly. Sorry, I'm just going to pull it up here.
I'm trying to remember because they didn't have a release date for The Valley of Gods. I know they said
no.
Maybe
initially, they said
year.
2019.
Yeah.
But then... I mean, we all kind of expected it to be pushed back a little bit. Yeah. All right, here we go. You ready? This is, like I said, this is Jake Rodkin. He's one of the co-founders of Campo Santo, former Idle Thumbs guy. Anyone that knows, Jake and Chris Remo, who he is. To fans looking forward to In the Valley of the Gods, it's probably clear that the optimistic 2019 at the end of the announcement trailer isn't going to be accurate. In the end, Valve time makes fools of us all. But yes, developers from the former Campo Santo team have joined other projects at Valve, including Half-Life Alyx. As you can imagine, our experience in the first-person adventure genre is pretty relevant. You hear a lot about how at Valve you can work on what you want. Turns out that's true, and there's a lot of work available. As we integrated ourselves into Valve, it became clear that there was a lot of valuable work to be done on Half-Life Alyx. Some of us started lending a hand and have since become full-time on the project as it approaches launch. Similarly, some ex-Campos are working on Dota Underlords, some are on Steam, and so on. So to answer your question, as of today, In the Valley of the Gods development is on hold, but it certainly feels like a project people can and may return to. And when that happens, we'll find an exciting way to let fans know. So, personally, very upset by this news. Because, man, I was really looking forward to a new game by Campo Santo.
And
because Firewatch is such a great experience. And for that to be their debut game,
can you imagine?
We were very excited for the next one. And the look of that game.
It was awesome.
I was very excited for that game. Sucks.
So it says May, which might mean never.
Exactly. And, it's knowing the way Valve operates,
there's going to be something else, and it's just not going to fall to the wayside.
I would love to see that game come out, but not bloody likely. All right, last thing, so we don't end on that dour note.
Let's give me something happy.
Link, our buddy Link.
You've been playing?
He is out in Super Mario Maker 2, new download where I played a little bit, and man, it's insane. The shit that you can do with a bow and arrow and a boomerang and bombs, like, it completely transforms Super Mario Maker 2, and it's the most amazing thing they've done.
That's cool.
In the series. It's so good. And it just makes me really excited for them to do other characters if they can. Like, imagine Samus in here with all her abilities, and like, you're just changing everything about this game. And the creators that create these amazing, well-crafted levels figure out such interesting like ideas of like what you can do. It gets me so excited just thinking about it.
Well, I like that you can just like use like Link's weapons and stuff, because like what was cool about like the first Mario Maker, and I don't know if you could do it for the second one.
The costumes?
Well, you could do the amiibo, so you could change the costumes.
They don't have that in this one because they were planning this.
Which is which is a lot cool, because you can actually use.
Yes, correct. I think this is definitely a better way to go. I think the costumes were really cool and novel. But this is like the level of depth here.
Yeah.
Having brand new characters in the game is just incredible.
That's rad, man. That's really cool.
I've been really enjoying that, and I just wanted to shout it out as a cool end of the year thing.
Right on.
And I think that's gonna do it, guys. That is it. This is our final regular episode of the year. But like I said, check out next week. We're gonna have 2 or 3 superlative episodes, and then our game of the year on the 30th. And then we have a nice surprise game of the decade we're going to put out January 1st.
It's not a surprise anymore, dude.
I know. Well, it'll be a surprise when you hear this.
Oh, true.
But yeah, some fun stuff coming up. Check out the YouTube channel. The Indie Contenders have been going up. Those were really, really fun for us to make, and we'd love for you to check them out. Just highlighting some great indie games of the year. So that's it. Dan, thank you for being here.
Dan, thanks for having me. We miss you, Shelby.
Yep, Shelby, we miss you. And we'll see you guys on the next episode. Thank you for listening. Until then, peace. Hey everyone, thanks so much for watching and or listening. Just here to remind you that you can find us by searching for Circleback Podcast or Circleback Gaming on any of these podcast services: Anchor, iTunes, Google Podcasts, Spotify, Breaker, Pocket Casts, Radio Public, or Stitcher. By God, I'm out of breath because of all these podcast services, but you can find us anywhere there. Also, you can find our video version on YouTube by searching Circleback Podcast or Circleback Gaming, and the rest of the videos we do. Thanks, guys.